Alright, I haven't put out a video in a while, so I thought it might be fun to go through the Game Awards 2020 nominees. I've recently been very busy, just going through the entire list and playing at basically almost everything. The only things I didn't finish are these things that I've been watching up here. Tell Me Why, If Found, Half-Life Alyx, and a lot of the esports and shit. I never touched Animal Crossing, and I was never gonna get around to Ghost of Tsushima, which I feel is unfortunate. I sort of wrote it off, but I've heard good things from people that I sort of respect the opinions of, sort of trust, not really, not a whole lot. I just assumed it was gonna be like a sort of casual, mainstream, just pretty plain, decent plot, decent, strong production value, and decent gameplay or whatever. That's pretty fun to play, but not that deep. I don't know. Gameplay looks pretty rudimentary. It looks, probably pretty fun, but nothing groundbreaking, earth-shattering. And the actual moment-to-moment gameplay looks pretty whatever to me. I since watched more content from it. It's about what I expected. It has more swathing color palettes. It's kind of art direction, art design was not quite what I was expecting, based on what I had seen of the trailers and everything up to this point. But not terribly interested in this. I don't have much of an opinion on it because this is one of the ones that I didn't play to any extent. Technically I never played Doom Eternal as well. I don't think I've watched any gameplay of it after the game came out, but I played Doom 2016, and I'll assume it's better or around the same. Not something that I necessarily enjoy. I thought I would enjoy it more than I actually ended up doing. Beat 4 levels and just got really fucking bored as I was going. I don't know, it's just the constant sort of, I think part of it is when you have a game where you're sort of constantly in a gameplay loop, but it's not really clear what you're there's not a clear avenue to optimizing further, then it just sort of gets bogged down. So it's I was in these giant, long, lengthy firefights. I was playing on hard, and I think I bumped it down to normal just to see if I would be less sort of bored by the tedium of it, I guess. I don't know, it wasn't particularly fun or engaging. It doesn't have that split-second excitement value that you get from something like Hades. Hades was really fun. But yeah. But anyways, this is all about Doom 2016. Haven't touched Doom Eternal. I'll give it the benefit of the doubt and assume it's better, and I've heard a lot of the music, which I think is great. Mick Gordon does a really good job. Yeah, so anyways, played most of these. I've played old Animal Crossings. I'm assuming new one is pretty much the same. Out of this list, honestly, I didn't think it would come to this when we were at the middle of the year, but I have to go with part 2. Oh, fuck off. I mean, I did a long-ass video explaining why. I like it. I have a lot of issues with it, or it's not really people assume that I mean something that I probably don't mean if I say it like that, but yeah, out of all the games that I really enjoyed, I was probably gonna have it between Hades and part 2. I don't really feel strongly towards Animal Crossing. Ghost of Tsushima's Doom, and I hate FF7 Remake. So then it was obviously gonna be between Hades and Last Part 2. I really enjoyed both of them. I have issues with both of them, but the one that has a more lasting impression, I guess. Hades was just fun, but something more, I guess, novel about the experience. I don't know, Hades was fun in a way that I think is replaceable by other really fun games, and even though I don't think it's this incredible, it's compared to other narrative-driven games or other things that I've experienced, part 2 is not even comparable to other things that but it at least was novel to me. It was distinct from everything else in what I experienced in playing. and thinking about it, mainly thinking about it, not actually playing it. Gameplay's fun. Only after you've beaten it the first time through and you've memorized all the patterns and you figure out how to have fun with the game, but eventually the gameplay is fun. So yeah, I'm shocked that like nothing else came out throughout the year that I liked more than this. I was planning to replay it again recently since I haven't really played it since I made my long-ass video review of it, which I should mention is now getting review bombed, or not review bombed, but like, I have no idea why, but like hundreds and hundreds of views are now exploding onto my Last of Us 2 review, all like slamming it with dislikes or whatever. I have no idea why. They're not like nobody's leaving any comments. They're not telling me like, assuming I'm just getting attacked by some random person, which is obnoxious, but it wasn't getting any more views anyway, so it's not like it hurts its visibility. It's not like anyone's gonna find it and see it without me like personally recommending it, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah. Tough draw. I mean, like, I don't know. Like, I obviously I can't say more here than I already did in my review of it, so, because my review is fucking 7 hours long. So, I had like let's just put it this way. I had 7 hours worth of thoughts and feelings to unpack about this, and I didn't for like anything else that happened this year. So that's basically where I'm at with that. That's like why it's distinct from me, and like I couldn't even like, even though I really enjoyed Hades, like my sort of feelings are not even like, I wouldn't even consider for a moment that I would pick it over part 2. Alright, next category. Best game direction, it's gotta go with Half-Life Alyx. Can't believe that's not up for Game of the Year. I haven't watched that much. I mean, I've been really busy, and I have like, this isn't the only shit that I have to get done. Playing and watching through all these games that are on these awards. But yeah, best game direction, I mean, between all these, like I said, don't have much of an opinion on Ghost of Tsushima. I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure it's really good. I'm sure it's good. Hades, really good. Part 2, I think, you know, it has strong direction. No, I mean, like, I think it's good. I think it's like, yeah, anyways, it's more complicated than that, but, this sucks. Half-Life Alyx, in terms of, like, direction, so, like, its description would be awarded for outstanding creative vision and innovation in game direction and design. When you describe it like that, it's gotta be Half-Life Alyx. I mean, it's fucking insane. This is like, this has to be the best VR game, right? Like, I haven't played a lot of VR. I don't have a VR thing that works. I used to have one, but it sucked. This has to be, like, the best VR thing, period, right? Could someone inform me if there's any VR that's better than Half-Life Alyx? It's insane. Like, every moment that I was watching from it, it's like, just wow. Best narrative. So I'd played all these except for 13. This is the thing that I just finished. 13 Sentinels. Like, blazed through it in the last 3 days. I've done nothing but play it to finish off this. Technically I haven't finished it since I didn't finish, like, Tell Me Why and It Found and all those, but I think there was one other thing I didn't, oh yeah, Ghost of Tsushima, right there, but, yeah, best narrative, outstanding storytelling and narrative development in a game, storytelling and narrative development. Don't have an opinion on Ghost of Tsushima. It's probably pretty, like, whatever, right? It's, like, good, maybe a little, like, impact, maybe, like, a tiny little bit of, like, feels or whatever, like impact, but, like, ultimately, it's probably, like, a story I've seen a billion other times. So, you know, most likely nothing special. Hades is a weird pick for this. I mean, I liked the dialogue, I liked the sort of concept. It's really well structured for, like, what do you want to call it? Binding of Isaac, a roguelike. Plot's really well done around the concept of a roguelike. Putting FF7R in here is a fucking joke. any good elements that it has in storytelling and narrative development are just because it's copy and pasting elements from the original game, and it's not a full story. It's a fragment of a story for which they clearly have no plan of where to go, and they're just doing stupid shit that's already, without even being finished, internally inconsistent with itself and illogical and makes no sense. So yeah, I mean, this is a joke, putting this here. 13 Sentinels is the other one. I mean, my default would just be to go part 2, but then I had to play 13 Sentinels because I had heard good things. Hated it, actually. Was enjoying it, sort of. The entire time I was like halfway between, this seems like dog shit, but it's also kind of like enjoyable, and it might be good. And then as time went on, it became more and more clear that like the parts that I thought might be dog shit were in fact dog shit. Very tropey, very cliched, just like constant. There's not a single character that has like a personality trait that is not just like a copy and pasted anime trope you've seen a billion other times for years and years. Like tons of like really hackneyed, poorly done motivations. There's so much like convenient coincidence and like contrivances in the plot that make like every element, and there's so much that is like not addressed. Like there's so many different angles at so many different parts that you can be like, why did this like why is it this way, as you're sort of uncovering this mystery. So yeah, there's lots of like problems with how the mystery all comes together. There's lots of like questions or convenience, like why did this happen to happen this way? There's no real answer, probably because no one thought about it, or you know, this is stupid, this seems stupid, or why did this happen? There's no explanation for this, or you know, they sort of just expect you to take it at like face value. And my problem with this is something I was talking about on Twitter. But the biggest problem I think with 13 Sentinels, the least fun I had with it was by the end, because I was also like, the gameplay was just like slogging, and it's like it has that same element where it's like you just kind of play it, you know, it's not like you're getting better at it per se. A lot of the strategy is pretty rudimentary, pretty like self-explanatory. You just sort of do shit. And yeah, I mean, that leads you to like have less and less like return on investment as time goes on when you're playing the gameplay. So I was just like, please let it be over by the time I was at the end. But the biggest problem with this is something that I would compare to other stories that are sort of this style of like mystery, not mystery like detective mystery, but like broken, fractured lore, like Dark Souls or like the Zero Escape games, where it's like you're sort of like dumped into a place with no understanding, and you're like piecing things together in a fragmented way over time. And a game that's sort of like designed to have like twists as it goes along, in terms of like the revelations that are revealed, of course. The problem with 13 Sentinels, and some of the things that make this mistake, that try to do this kind of style of storytelling, is that the main problem is that it is not fun on a moment-to-moment basis. Like, I was like, there would be like a 15-hour chunk where it's like, I really didn't enjoy anything. Like, there was nothing grabbing my attention. There was nothing like really shocking me or interesting me or being like, that's crazy. That's not. And it's like, the fun, I guess, theoretically comes from like the speculation, and I was constantly speculating more of the time, because it's like at a certain point, like you've already speculated like so much without your speculations being addressed, because the game is really, really slow at answering any of your questions. You're constantly sort of like running into the same kinds of like repeating things. Like, if you even get like an extra little bit of information here, it's basically something that you already got like an hour ago. Very slow burn, kind of, and it's just like, ugh. And it's like a lot of the questions that you've probably built up along the way if you're like really looking into and really considering and like pausing for like minutes or hours on end, like I was constantly being like, well, wait, what about this? What this doesn't make sense if that's the case. That sort of really digging into like trying to find consistency, and the amount of questions that you'll logically come up with at that point, none of them, like so many, do not get addressed, or like there is basically no answer, or they're and it's like everything that was like, that seems stupid, that seems like a dumb cliche, or that seems like a dumb contrivance, or that seems like a big fucking coincidence. Why is that coincidence there? Why does this happen to a line here? And there's basically like no real answer for that. There's like inconsistencies that they sort of just take for face value. Like, it's like, okay, for example, it's like the universal control, right? And it's like, why? This is just one of like a billion different thoughts that I was having, none of which were addressed in any satisfying manner. But it's like, hey, say universal control is supposed to control these people's existences, right? So to manufacture like this reality that they're living within. So, logically speaking, universal control, like, controls all the fake humans, all the virtual constructs. And so virtual or universal control also controls like what was basically like the point is the universal control like following like history, because like theoretically like the loop starts somewhere like, for example, the sector that's supposed to represent the 40s, let's say it starts at like around 1930 or wherever it started, and then like the characters grew up from that point until they were at the age that they are in the present of the story. And okay, let's take that for an example. So universal control seems fine with like creating this narrative where they're at war with America or Germany or whatever, and that it seems like universal control will allow the narrative that these people sort of live within to be that they have sentinels that they are going to pilot to fight in this war, even though that's not historically accurate, because sentinels obviously didn't exist in the actual 40s that it's supposed to be representing. So then like the question becomes, okay, well, what's the point of universal control? Because like the places they're fighting are not real. America is not real. Germany is not real. Those are not real places. They live on a 30-kilometer like disc, right? They live in a manufactured city with edges, and everything outside of it is fake and like constructed as a story by universal control. So why are they even going to war? Why is World War II even happening in this universe? And like the only reason I can think of is because universal control just decided, or is just trying, and for like some part of universal control's design or motivation is to reconstruct actual history. But if it's trying to reconstruct actual history by creating this conflict of World War II outside of the 30-kilometer disc, then why is it okay with changing that history by, like, introducing the Sentinels? Also, with the Sentinel, why is universal control okay with allowing, like, Miura and all the other characters or whatever to believe that the Sentinels are, like, a technology created to fight in World War II that was, like, technology that was, like, taken from the Germans or whatever the story that universal control like constructed to convince the populace, and thus like the human characters like Miura. But then so it creates like an excuse. Universal control like adds in the Sentinels into the culture, into like what its fake reality is constructing. It sort of bends around allowing people to understand that Sentinels are a thing, right? At least, like, the military people, who are also all fake people. Any orders they got to be pilots are obviously from fake people that are constructed by universal control, right? So why would it do that? But then when, like, say, Juro accidentally summons his Sentinel in, like, the 80s, and Amaguchi accidentally summons his Sentinel in, like, the 80s, universal control doesn't create an excuse for it or act like it's modern technology or something that exists. It just it just changes the narrative and wipes everyone's memories and says it was a gas leak, or says like something else happened, like a helicopter came down or something. Why is universal control okay with like bending reality to let something that clearly can't exist in the 1940s to be part of what the fake culture that it's constructing like allows? So it's like it's arbitrarily just like changing for the convenience of the narrative with no explanation, because it's just like when they want to say, oh, this got changed because of universal control, then we're just supposed to accept it at face value, even though there's countless point where you can say, well, why did universal control do this or change this or augment this, or but it didn't for that. Why is Amaguchi allowed to just drive outside to the edge of the fucking city to and just discover that he lives in a fake world? Why is he allowed to do that? Does universal control have influence over the 15 participants' brains? Can it like influence their memories in the same way that 426 can with like Juro, and apparently everyone else can with everyone else? Because they have the technology to do that, right? So what? So anyways, that's like one tiny like bit of like inconsistency and like questions that I had that were not answered in any capacity, that are kind of necessary to understand like, or like believe that the plot went down in the way that we're just told it went down. So yeah, obviously the most annoying part is like basically at the ending, when you're starting to realize that like, oh no, oh god, it's gonna end and it's not gonna have answered any of my fucking questions. It doesn't have any explanation for any of this. It's just supposed to, like, it's just wanting me to fucking accept it at face value. But, yeah. Really annoying, really obnoxious. There's, like, so many other, like, contrivances, coincidences, cliched writing. Characters all are, like, I don't, like, hate most of them, but like there's nothing compelling or interesting about any of them, especially when it like tries to pretend like characters have like emotional reactions or anything. Basically like every character is either just like an upstanding person or otherwise just like their motivations or why they did this thing is just hand wave explained away as, oh, they just fell in love with so and so just by looking at them. Like no other explanation is given. Oh, obviously they're in love. Why? What? Oh, obviously. And it's just like uses a hand wave to explain like why characters are the way. It's really lazy, and like there's tons of it. So yeah, all of the things that seem like shitty cliches, I thought they were going to be like. Originally, I thought the story was going to go in a direction where all of the tropey shit that seemed to be happening was like their reality, because I assumed that they were in a virtual reality very quickly, because I was like, well, clearly like the reality is sort of bending based because there's so many interactions and reflections between the reality that they were experiencing and like fiction within the universe and within like potentially our universe, like real life. So I was like, well, is that why all these cliches are happening? All these shitty writing cliches, all these lazy fucking hackneyed garbage-ass cliches and coincidences and all this shit? Like, oh, this character happened to run into this character at this exact moment, or happened to be here and overhear this. So much just fucking coincidence over and over and over. And I was like, is the reason for this because reality is bending to reflect fictional media for some reason or another? Like it's like some sort of like weird meta influence thing where like the movies and anime and otaku culture, whatever that they consume, is like becoming real life. But no, there's some explanations for like why some of the media they reference is similar to the actual life that they're experiencing, but not all of it. The rest of it is just shitty writing. So yeah, there were tons of things that I was like, well, that's very obviously shitty writing, but maybe it's pretending to be shitty writing for like a twist later on. But no, a lot of it is just shitty writing. So obviously that out of the way. Yeah. Weirdly enough, like I really thought a game would come out sometime this year that I could like more confidently say I liked more than like fucking Last of Us Part 2, but it hasn't happened. At least yet. I mean, we're not quite out of the way. And the only other game that I liked as much or more than Last of Us Part 2 this year, as dumb as it is is this: Being a Dick. I had forgotten that Being a Dick technically came out this year. This is the best. This is fantastic. So this is sort of like visual novel. Like, it looks weird when you start out, obviously. Like, I get that, but yeah, visual novel in like the vein of like American Pie or something, like College Humor kind of thing, and with like surprisingly good and compelling writing and characters alongside like their, you know, hackneyed comedy. So yeah, Being a Dick, I honestly think is like the thing that I enjoyed the most in the year, with like the least setbacks, like the least reasons not to like it. It's hilarious, has great characters. I like the character of Derek from Being a Dick more than any character from any of these fucking whatever the fuck games. Best art direction, let's see. Okay, outstanding creative. Okay, I need to go off like the description more than my actual like instinctive idea of what art direction, because when I say art direction, I generally think of like art style, or like, you know, something around that. But outstanding creative and or technical achievements in artistic design and animation. So creative and or technical. Can't be FF7 Remake because there's tons of things in that way that are just like slapped together and look like shit. The pretty parts look pretty, I'll admit. But yeah, you can just like walk around environments and see like a pile of like rubble or something, like rocks just clipping into each other and shit. Like you can look at like any place that they don't want you to look at closely, and it just looks like ugly and hideous. And the actual design is, you know, whatever. All the original characters clash with everything. There's tons of, like, inconsistency. Like, the design for, like, Kyrie, for example, clashes with, like, the rest of the steampunk aesthetic of everything. Let's see. Ghost of Tsushima, surprisingly looks really good. I mean, like I said, can't say that much. Never really actually... I have nothing against Ori. Never played any of them. Tried to get into them sometimes, but I'm just not terribly interested. Never really thought they looked that appealing to me. They look like really crisp and clean, but like there's nothing that I like looking at in the art design of Ori. So Hades looks gorgeous, Hades looks fantastic, but I mean, I think like for these elements, like creative and or technical achievements in artistic design, I was originally thinking like, well, the best part about, like, visually or artistically about Last of Us Part 2 would be, like, the environments and the detail in the environments. Like I talked about in my review, how, like, one building in this one level or whatever is, like, totally unique and has totally different, like, architecture and art and, like, designs and all the assets and all the chairs and tables and, like, a cafe or something, and every single thing has so much detail. It's so polished. It's, like, the exact opposite of this, where the only pretty parts are, like, the big flashy things that they want you to look at. Whereas, like, this, like, any time where you're like, I should look around, it's insane. It's insane, the amount of, like, originality and detail, and like I feel like more thought was put in collectively, like all of the environments in every room and every like just building and everything that you can do and interact with, or not interact with, but just see. It's incredible. It's insane. I feel like there was like collectively more thought put into that than like anything else in the game. But and it has like really technical, like impressive things, like clothing that can dynamically come off of character models, things like that. So cloth physics, hair physics thing. So I would actually have to go with that. Best score, not a huge fan of most of these, honestly. I would probably have to go with, it would probably be, for this, be between Doom and FF7 Remake. Much as I hate it, it has good music. I'll go with that. I mean, once again, the curse of the fact that remakes are completely devoid of any creativity. It's good music is good because it's just sort of redoing a little bit of music that already existed and was already good, not because of the people that composed it. Actually, I don't know if the composers are the same. There's lots of staff that I know did not used to be in the positions that they were in the original FF7, but I actually do not recall having ever looked up whether or not it has the same composers. Probably doesn't. It probably doesn't have the same people and the same staff. I mean, it was a long time ago, and a lot has changed in the company, but any people that were working on the game previously have completely different positions and do completely different jobs in the remake. Jobs that they are definitely not skilled at. Hades has pretty chill music. It's really good. I enjoyed it a lot, but it doesn't stand out to me in particular. Same with Last of Us 2. There's 1 or 2 tracks, and I'm like, yeah, that slaps low key. But no, I've never played it. I listened to 2 tracks, and that's it, off of the OST on YouTube. It was fine. It was pretty boring. It was pretty whatever. So I probably have to go between these and which I think are equally enjoyable for me. Neither one is incredible to me. I'm not a huge fan of any of the tracks for most of the games. Ironically, as it would happen, if I have to be completely honest, I think my favorite score and music from a game this year was actually from Being a Dick. It's all licensed music. It's all shit I've never heard of before, but I like it a lot. It's good stuff. But yeah, Mick Gordon's a Chad, and I would probably have to go with that. Best audio design. Not familiar with audio design in RE3. No matter what, for any of these, I'd probably have to go Half-Life Alyx. Nothing else on this list release stands out to me. It's oh yeah, the audio design. Best in-game audio and sound design. Yeah, the only thing that stood out to me in that category have to be Half-Life Alyx. You can pick up a fucking can of Tic Tacs or a jar or whatever, and you can hold it. It makes you can slam a box into a wall, and it's all the packing peanuts can come out, and you can hear the scratchy sound effects of the packing peanuts. If you put it against surfaces or whatever, you can pick up a can that might have beans or some shit in it, and you can shake it with your hand or whatever in the VR, and it makes the sound. You can hear the beans clacking or whatever inside the container at the speed or rate or at the place that you're shaking it relative to where you're holding it to your head. There's just so much insane shit with just the physics and the presentation. Half-Life Alyx, it has to be that. Best performance. Not familiar with the Miles Morales one. I heard people that I generally trust the opinion of saying as whatever the performance was. Well, I'm sure all of these people perform well. That's not really what I'm trying to say, but it's not particularly charismatic, I guess you would say. Strange, I would have put the guy who voice acts Zagreus instead of Logan Cunningham. I'm not entirely sure why he's here rather than Zagreus, or whatever other games came out that would have good performances this year. I wish I could vote for Doom Guy, but I can't. Who else had good performances? I liked the person that did the English Eris in the FF7 remake. But she did a good job. What the fuck else came out? 13 Sentinels hasn't. Well, I'm not even gonna get. There's nothing, there's no emotion in the game other than like hackneyed bullshit emotion that you're just told, like fucking mannequins telling each other in their feelings are so strong with no explanation or believability. I don't remember any like standout performances from Half-Life Alyx. I haven't finished it or finished watching through it since I don't have VR. But yeah, I mean, realistically, I'd have to go with Ashley Johnson. I mean, like, probably the only vote that I would put in that's like already biased as a huge fan of Ashley Johnson. Games for Impact. These are like the hardest ones to get through because I didn't really like any of these. Spiritfarer, I didn't want to get through because it was just like really long. Every playthrough or any content or just playing the game, it's really long, and it's like I've watched several hours of the game. I've watched like 10 hours of the game from like different players or like consecutively, and it's just never grabbed me. It's never, there's like so little content that's like gives me any intrigue or interest, whatever. I've just been bored every time I've been looking at it. I didn't finish it, but like spent a long time watching it, waiting for like something to be, really good. It's probably a really good game. I didn't play it personally. It's probably really fun to play as like an actual whatever the gameplay is, like management system. Through the Darkest of Times is pretty good. I enjoyed that. Tell Me Why. These are like a lot of things that I didn't finish it. Kentucky Route Zero I did not look at even remotely because it's just a different edition of a game that came out in 2013, I believe. I have no knowledge of it, but I was like, I don't really feel like giving a vote to something that has been out for 7 years already and didn't like actually come out this year. So it'd have to be between those things. If Found, I've watched like 40 minutes of. It's only a 2-hour game, but I still like nothing grabbing me. I'm pretty bored. It's convinced me that like Irish people are not human. Weird as fuck, but yeah. I'm watching through Tell Me Why right now. Don't Nod has made some dog shit that I hate, so this was the thing that I thought would be like the worst. I've seen like maybe half an hour or whatever so far. I don't hate it. I mean, it still has like weird inhuman alien hipster dialogue not written by like actual people that have interacted with other human beings, but there's nothing I inherently like despise about it so far. So I mean, it's fine by me. So yeah, I mean, I have no real strong like desire to pick any one of these. My instinct is to give. I have no strong feelings about any of these. So, but I've also looked into like most of them, not thoroughly enough, but it's not like one of those categories that I would be like, well, I'm not informed enough, so I'll just not vote on it because I'm not qualified to vote on it. Realistic. I mean, obviously, voting doesn't really matter since voting, like this voting, only makes up like 10% of the actual votes that will go towards any of these awards, and the rest of the 90% are from like official like IGN and the, like all the people that they contact, like Giant Bomb or whatever. They're given. That's the thing that's most interesting is I don't think it's actually based off review scores. I think they like give their votes. So looking at something like a Game of the Year, I'm like, well, I wonder what would win, because like I know that most like half of people would be like, okay, well, there's a few elements to this. Obviously, there's a lot of people that dislike Last of Us Part 2, for example, but the thing is, it's like, say you have say you have 12 people, and 6 of them like Last of Us Part 2, a whole lot, let's say, and 6 of them really hate it. Well, if that were those 12 people were to go down to a vote, let's say those 6 people voted for Last of Us Part 2, and the other 6 people, maybe 2 of them voted for Doom, 2 of them voted for FF7, 1 of them voted for Ghost of Tsushima, and 1 of them voted for Hades. Well, between those 12 people, half of which liked the game and half of which hated the game, the vote results in Last of Us Part 2 getting the award, even though, let's say, all 12 of them liked Doom, but wasn't their number one favorite. That's the ultimate like flaw in a voting system like this, or like a winner-take-all voting system where you only nominate one thing as your favorite. It doesn't usually get like the popular opinion of like the thing that most people actually generally agree with. It only gets the one that has like the most singular support from a strong fan base. So in that sense, it actually could win a popular vote. If, especially like the more other candidates there are, it only needs to have really passionate people to vote for it, even if the other people would never vote for it. And it could still win. But then again, on the other hand, only makes up 10% of the vote. The other 90% is like the official places. But all those official places like IGN and whatever gave Last of Us Part 2 a really high review before the game came out. Like all the reviews were really high. So then that makes me think, would they... I mean, the reviews for other things were really high as well. So I reasonably think it would probably be to like Ghost of Tsushima or FF7 Remake. That's what I'm reasonably expecting. But I'm like, would they still vote for Last of Us Part 2 now? Or now that they know that, like, it's between, like, half of the people, it's wildly unpopular. Now that they know that, would they be, like, nervous about voting for it, even if they'd previously given it a really high review score? I wonder. I don't know. Alright, games for fucking Impact. I guess... I fucking don't care. I'm actually not hating Tell Me Why. And I'm not actually even bored by it. Like, I was fucking bored watching If Found. I'm sure it's, like, fine, you know? It's sort of like... It's, like, designed to be slow in the way it gives you information. Spiritfarer, didn't play it personally, but like, okay, let's see what the description is. Thought-provoking game with pro-social meaning or message. So is it like the quality of it, like how pro-social the meaning or message is, or how, I mean, like, I think thought-provoking is like a better metric for this. Because, like, there are things that are boring as fuck that promote, like, good messages, like messages that are, like, positive to agree with, per se. It's just not very original or very, I guess, profound. For thought-provoking, I don't know. I mean, I'd probably go with Spiritfarer, from what I've seen of it. Like, I don't think the actual content of the game is very engaging or interesting, and I've had no impact for it whatsoever. But, like, the context of the game is somewhat thought-provoking. I've had more thoughts provoked watching that than all these other things. Through the Darkest Time is fun. I mean, fucking... Spiritfarer's gonna win anyways, so let's just go with that. Best ongoing. Awarded to a game for outstanding development of ongoing content that evolves the player experience over time. I probably have no opinion on this. I don't think I play any of these things. I have a friend that plays Destiny 2. He told me to vote for this, so I'll vote for it. Best indie. I played all of these as well. Oh, actually, I didn't play Fall Guys. I never actually touched Fall Guys, but yeah, I watched it a lot. Ironically, Spelunky 2, it was one of those things that I played, and I played for an hour, and I was like, alright, I've got, enough of that experience. I'm not really, there's not, something super engaging in here, especially since it's basically just more of Spelunky. It was the exact same, feeling and content that I got from the first Spelunky. And I was like, okay, well, that's enough. Alright, I'm on a deadline. I'll say I'm done with that. But then an hour later, I was like, oh, fuck, I kind of want to do some more Spelunky. And I played it for another hour, and I was like, okay, whatever, this is kind of frustrated. It's like, whatever. And then I put it down, and I come back, an hour later, I'm like, oh, fuck, a few more runs. So, yeah, I mean, I enjoyed Spelunky 2. Hades, I would probably have to give it to, though. I'm sure Fall Guys is really good. I mean, I watched plenty of it, but I never played it. Carrion, I played, one of the ones I didn't finish. I played Spelunky 2 for actually, quite a bit of time, but, Hades was the one that like engaged me to actually continue playing and beat it a few times. Carrion was boring. It was like really, I thought it would be a lot more fun, but it's just like sort of boring. I mean, there's not really a like better word or descriptor for it. There's nothing like inherently wrong. There's a few like caveats there. It's like weird and hard to target things correctly using like the basic controls. I think you're probably supposed to play it with a keyboard and mouse. I was playing it with a controller. Now that I think about it, I'm sure it would have controlled better with a keyboard and mouse. But yeah, there's like some weirdness to the controls and like the actual combat and gameplay. There's just like nothing that's really engaging you, mechanically speaking, or puzzle solving speaking. And there's a lot of just like travel time, and it's just like I only played like 2 hours of it, but I mean, it was like there's so little entertainment value I was getting out of that time. It's just boring. Hades kicks ass. Mobile game. I would probably seen Among Us. Community support. I don't know. Probably Fall Guys. Best VR, obviously. Innovations and accessibility. Voting kind of blind here. I talked about the accessibility in part 2 in my review a lot. Something that I know that really has strong accessibility options that I've seen videos on. Not familiar with a lot of these other things and what accessibility options they do or do not have, but I know that I beat like 3 levels in Last of Us Part 2 while wearing a blindfold, so I have to go with that. Best action. Weird picks for this. Probably Hades. I mean, like, Half-Life Alyx is fantastic. I'm sure Doom Eternal's really good. Nioh 2 sucks shit. It's basically just more Nioh 1. It's like pretty much the exact same engagement experience. Which I guess I can see as a good thing. I mean, for people who liked Nioh 1, Nioh 2 is pretty much same shit. You know, you get basically the same experience, the same thing. Which meant that I got more shit that I was already bored to death of by the end of Nioh 1, and I couldn't even get, like, that many levels into Nioh 2 because it was just the same shit I was already dying of boredom from. And it just has the same, like, game design fundamental, like, other than just how boring it is, it has the same, like, actual game design problems that the first game, like, nothing was solved. Haven't touched Streets of Rage 4 or seen anything about it. Unfortunately, no opinion on it. Action-adventure game combining combat with traversal and puzzle solving. I heard Jedi Fallen Order was good. I'm sure Ori and the Will of the Wisps is a good game. I heard Miles Morales is like whatever. I'm sure Ghost of Tsushima is good. Let's see. Combat with traversal and puzzle solving. Action adventure. On that basis, I feel bad like voting for something that I haven't played. Especially like voting to pick one thing I haven't played over like say another thing that I haven't played. I'll probably just go with Ghost of Tsushima, I guess. I mean, it's easier than like giving something to EA, even though I'm sure the game is good. Best role playing game designed with rich player rich player character customization? Why is that necessary? Isn't that the opposite of role-playing? I thought role-playing was playing a role. Right? That's what it is. Role-playing means you're playing into a role. Not, you're just making yourself. But whatever. Rich player character customization and progression, including massively multiplayer experiences. By that, it's almost like sort of denying single-player RPGs, and its description is clearly geared towards shit like Genshin Impact, which I haven't really seen much of. Out of all these things, I honestly haven't looked at Yakuza since it came out in Japan or the West that much. I didn't like the direction that Yakuza was going with 6. I liked it even less with, like, what do you call it? Kiwami 2. And then I liked it even less when I saw like what they were doing with Like a Dragon or Shinryu ga Gotoku. That's what it's supposed to be called, or called in Japanese. Which I was disappointed because I was like really looking forward to it because I liked Ichiban as soon as the first trailer dropped for him. But I watched like footage of the gameplay. It looked really basic, not particularly interesting. I didn't see anything that like particularly, but I haven't looked at it that closely. I haven't played it myself. I didn't like watch like hours and hours of it. So whatever. I mean, like, I have a sort of disdain for it, but that disdain is probably unfair. Just based on the fact that I would have preferred like the old style of Yakuza game, which is unfair to place upon this new style since, you know, it's an expectation and not like an actual criticism. Genshin Impact, I heard that's basically just like a gambling game. I'm not sure why I would. Everything I've heard sounds like something that I would think of as a negative, like just sort of like a slot machine game. So I'm not sure why I would vote for that. FF7R sucks. Persona 5 Royal is like the weird part of it. I heard, I watched some videos. I haven't touched it myself. I heard Wasteland 3 is fantastic. So I would probably just vote for this. For P5R, it's like one of those weird situations where I'd probably vote for P5, but like the R is like, to me, is an inherently shittier version of the game, especially with gameplay. The changes that they made from 5 to R really fuck with like the strategy and make it much more boring and simplistic, and like remove any engagement in a lot of like how you could play it before. Just the changes sort of fuck over like complex strategies are no longer like necessary or relevant because like more simplistic strategies are just inherently stronger in R from the idiotic gameplay changes that they made. And obviously there's nothing beneficial to the narrative aspects of R since it's all written by other people that had no hand in writing the original P5. So it's all going to be like self-contradictory. It's all gonna, from what I've seen, it's all just like the same shit from that you would see from like the spin-offs and everything. And just like the idea that like after 1 or 2 or 3 or however many years it was, just re-release the same game at full price with just so this leaves like more of a bad taste in my mouth. I'm sure I would probably no, I wouldn't. I was about to say I'm sure I would actually enjoy the game more than like some of these others because it's still P5, but no, I didn't, because I tried to play P5R when it came out in Japan and I fucking hated it because of the changes to the gameplay that made it like mind-numbingly shitty to actually play. Like, compared to the level of strategy that I had already reached in the original P5, to have that strategy just, like, decimated by the shittiness that they fucked it over with in R with the mechanical changes. So, yeah, Wasteland 3 probably. Because I did not enjoy playing P5R from what I did. Best fighting game, I would have, like, I wish they just had, like, the popular fighting games. Like, why the fuck is this here? For example, why not just put Tekken 7 there as something that someone would actually vote for? Spike Chunsoft released this? What the fuck? But anyways, out of these things, I probably have to go with the thing that has the best netcode. So, MK11. Best family, I don't fucking know. I mean, like, I'm sure Fall Guys is appropriate for family play, irrespective of genre or platform. Fall Guys. Simmer Strategy, I haven't touched any of these. I haven't even seen any of these. I haven't even heard of any of these. If XCOM is like the other XCOMs, I would probably vote for that. I'm not sure why a flight simulator. Oh, sim or strategy, right. I thought it was just strategy. I have no opinion. You know, I probably shouldn't vote on this one because I have no opinion on it. Best sport at racing, same thing there. No opinion. I don't want to be like one of those idiots that votes about, like, puts a vote in for something he has no fucking clue about. Best multiplayer. Well, probably, like, this is like the great clash, like the war between Among Us and Fall Guys is this category. The Among Us memes are funnier. So, what? No, fucking. Content creator. I looked at a few of these guys. Their content was, from what I like saw of them, whatever. I actually know who this person is, so vote for them. I have no opinion on all the others. Debut game. Haven't played most. Actually, like, these ones I haven't still gotten around to, so haven't played this. Haven't played this. Seen more of this since obviously it's like a Souls ripoff. Looks pretty rudimentary. Looks pretty, like, there's mechanical, like, issues with the game. Not issues, since I haven't played it and I haven't heard, like, them vied as criticisms. But, like, apparently there's, like, really overpowered, like, armor mechanics and things that you can just sort of do endlessly. But, then again, I saw some of the, like, monster and boss designs. It's got some really cool, like, enemy designs and monster designs. It's pretty dope. But I haven't played it. I didn't like Carrion. Phasmophobia is, like, fine. From what I've seen of it, I haven't touched it. I probably have no... probably shouldn't vote for this one because I have no real opinion. Esports athlete from a bunch of games I don't watch. Coach from a bunch of shit I don't watch. Esports events that I don't watch. Yeah, I haven't watched any of these. Did these all happen this year? Did they? Well, I guess if you're just having, like, established teams fighting and not, you know, it would be more like Street Fighter Pro League rather than, like, a big tournament where thousands of people show up. So, maybe they did have them, like, in person this year. Esports game. I like League. It's fine. Host. Team. And that's about it. Those are my my votes as it would stand.